Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Phantom Knight the Phantom Knight combo guide video that I promised you guys. So here it is. I have been wanting to put this together for quite a while because I wanted to show off. Really the main reason I like Phantom Knights here is that it's just so, you get so much powerful output for relatively minimal input, especially if you're playing Tour Guide. Now, I do understand that Tour Guide is going to be likely replaced by the Adventure Engine soon, from what I gather, from what I hear other people saying, but I don't know. I might try to incorporate it too. I guess it's going to depend on how the Adventure... I'm not too familiar with the Adventure Engine personally at this point in time. I definitely need to do research on that before it comes out, and I will be doing that. But for the time being, we've still got Tour Guide as a pretty good option here. Tour Guide is very, very good. Tour Guide plus any extender can make a Rhongo Meonad? Is it Rhongo Bongo? We all know the one. By itself, Tour Guide can even do just a lot of plays. Like, by itself, Tour Guide can make, well, most importantly, by itself, well, not most importantly, but kind of like a noteworthy feature of this particular build is that Tour Guide by itself can actually set up a DPE plus Artifact Scythe. In addition to also being able to set up like F0 and Apollusa and, well, we'll get into all that, obviously, this being the combo guide video and all that, but note that for some of these combos and lines that I will show off, I am going to be switching up my build slightly in order to be able to show you the lines that go into F0 and the lines that go into Dark Requiem. I'm, of course, going to have to put those in my extra deck. So there will be some slight build adjustments in between combos so that I can show off some of those, some more lines for some different builds as well. Phantom Knights is one of those decks that you can actually build really differently from build to build with relatively minor changes. So I want to be able to show off a decent variety so that way if you're not playing Scythe and DPE lock, we still have some good things to show you. If you're not playing Rhongo Meonad, if you're playing Requiem XCs and or F0, then we just have lines for all Phantom Knights players here. But this is my build. This is the build that obviously I showed off in the deck profile and some games recently. But like I said, we will be adjusting this slightly in order to fully show off some combos there. So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right into the combos because that's what you're here for, right? Let's do it. Okay, so I think, let's go ahead and just start off with the new flashy combo. I'll start by showing you how to set up a DPE Scythe lock with only a Tour Guide and nothing else. So, like I said, we only need the Tour Guide to do this, so let's just pretend we don't have any of this other stuff in hand. Let's go ahead and start by normal summoning our Tour Guide here, activating, of course, the optional effect. We're going to go ahead and special summon Graff, even though Graff is on our hand. It's still definitely right to summon Graff here. Alright, now that we have 2 level 3s, we can go into Cherubini here, like so. And now we get to activate our Graff's ability in order to summon the Seer. Now, in just about every other combo, you would actually want to activate Cherubini here, but for specifically this one, specifically if you're just Scythe locking and nothing else with Tour Guide, we don't actually activate Cherubini here. We're going to go straight into Artifact Dagda using that Seer and Cherubini we just got out. And now we're going to activate Seer's effect to bring back the Cherubini. You can put that right here. And this is why we didn't activate Cherubini's effect just now, because in order to get our search for Scythe with Artifact Dagda, we need to be able to activate a card effect on the field specifically. So that's why we wanted to wait. Now, for most combo lines, you're actually not going to want to wait like that. But for this one specifically, we are going to. So now we can activate Cherubini's effect. Cherubini, mind you, sends a card from deck to the graveyard as a cost. So you don't actually have to worry about this effect getting negated. Even if it does, you still get to send a card, which is obviously the most important part. So it doesn't really matter actually what we send for this particular combo line. Usually if you haven't already sent it, the best thing to send is just an Ancient Cloak. And then we can just go ahead and boost that, why not? So yep. Now we can activate the Artifact Dagda effect since we had an onboard effect activate. And that is going to enable us to search our Artifact Scythe and set that right there. And now finally we get to go into Vert, and then I'm sure you can see where this is going from here, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. Alright, let's activate Vert's effect. Of course, we're going to be paying 2,000 life points, sending the Fusion Destiny, and summoning DPE. And we'll just throw it in defense mode in that zone right over there. So, yep, that is the first and kind of most basic combo, or like rather not most basic, but you actually won't use this line too much. It's typically better to go for Rhongo Miad or Apollusa plus F-Zero or Apollusa plus Dark Requiem. That's usually the better thing to do with Tour Guide. But again, this is like a new flashy combo. I just wanted to show off that it is in fact possible to one card set up DPE plus Scythe Lock, and there it is. Alright, let's go ahead and look at the next combo now. Okay, so for this combo line, we're going to learn how to make Rhongo. And there's actually, it's funny, with this hand, there's actually 2 different ways we could do it. So I kind of got to decide on the fly which one I want to do. I'll show you how to make Rhongo with Torn Scales. So for this combo, you need Torn Scales and you need an extender, Tsuchinoko being a good extender. You also need a good card to discard, which is kind of vague, but there's multiple things you could discard, right? This Fogblade is going to be what we use in this combo. If we had another extender alongside Tsuchinoko, we could just discard Tsuchinoko. We might actually just be able to do it with just discarding Tsuchinoko, but I'll play a little bit safe here and discard Fogblade, because I know we can do it that way for sure. But, okay, so let's go ahead and start by normal summoning the Torn Scales right over here. I'm going to activate Torn Scales effect. We'll go ahead and discard Fogblade like we mentioned there. And then we're going to go ahead and send the Ancient Cloak to the graveyard. If you haven't already sent one, usually one of the best things to send from deck to grave is an Ancient Cloak for the searches there. Alright, now we can go ahead and activate our Tsuchinoko's effect. Doesn't really matter what we end up discarding. We're going to discard Tsuchinoko itself. Sure, that's fine. I mean, ideally, we'd like to discard something else and get a draw, but no, this is definitely fine too, as long as it gets on the board. Well, that is the only thing that matters. Now that we have our 2 level 3s on board, we can go ahead and link them away into Cherubini. You're pretty much always going to start every single play by going 2 level 3s into Cherubini. Pretty much every single time. Now, like I said in the last combo, we're going to activate Cherubini's effect now. The only time we wait is for that last DPE Scythe combo. But, yeah, now we're going to send Graff from deck to graveyard. Since obviously we didn't Tour Guide for Graff, we need to send Graff in order to get the summon here. And then, of course, we want to, yep, like I just mentioned, get the summon from deck here. We're going to grab Seer. You're always going to want to put your Graff or Seer into one of the zones that Cherubini points to. This is especially important if you have a non-BA monster, because monsters that point, or that Cherubini points to, can't be destroyed by card effects, and BAs will destroy themselves if you have a non-Burning Abyss monster on the board. So, generally speaking, just pretty much always want to put those into a zone that Cherubini points to. Now that we have Cherubini and Seer on the board, we can go ahead and link into our Rusty Bardish. Bardish, like I mentioned in the deck profile, is going to be the cornerstone for all, more or less all, again, not that first combo we saw, but almost all of your Phantom Knight plays. Now, here's something important to note. Seer's effect is actually, well, obviously it's optional, it's an optional effect, but it's an optional part of the combo. You actually don't need this in order to get the end board here, but I always like to activate anyway to get back Cherubini, even though you don't, again, you do not need this Cherubini to combo. This is an entirely optional step, but it's still a good one to do because, one, it's a free summon. Why wouldn't you do it? You know, why not? I mean, if you're playing around Nibiru, maybe in some niche cases, but we've already done up to 5 summons up to this point, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, the more important aspect of this is that if our opponent has like some kind of negation to disrupt us, by having this Cherubini on the board, we could potentially fall back on making like an Apollusa or something. It's just good to have a free Link 2 out to have backup plays. But again, it's optional. You don't actually have to bring this back for this combo. So, now we're going to go ahead and activate our Rusty Bardish effect. As far as sending a card to the graveyard, we've already sent an Ancient Cloak, so we don't need to do that. We can go ahead and just send a Ragged Gloves here. You don't want to send Sane Greaves. We need to add that to our hands, so don't ever send that. Boots, you know, adding the Spell or Trap is, like, not really needed because we're going to set the one trap we need with Bardish anyway. And then we obviously already have a Torn Scales and Graves, so yep, we'll just go ahead and send a Ragged Gloves, that's fine. And then we're always going to want to set the Shade Bringing Beam. Definitely going to want to set that here. Okay, so now you might be thinking, well, wait, we can't link with the Rusty Bardish. We don't have any more stuff in hand. Well, now we turn to our graveyard and start activating some effects from there. We're going to go ahead and start by activating the Ancient Cloak's effect. We're going to go ahead and banish that from our graveyard in order to search a card. We're going to want to search Silent Boots. Silent Boots being one of our better extenders, as it can just special itself from our hand if we control a... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Ooh, I misspoke there. We do want a card that special itself from the hand, but we want Stained Greaves. We do not want Silent Boots here. That's, I'm thinking of a different combo line, my bad. No, we definitely want to add the Stained Greaves at this point. So let's go ahead and add that to our hand. And now we can activate our Torn Scale, since the Phantom Knight was banished from our graveyard. We're going to go ahead and summon that back with its own effect in defense mode right over here. Now, we could activate Stained Greaves effect at this point. Stained Greaves special summons itself from the hand when a Phantom Knight's monster is special summoned, and then you can increase the level by 1. However, I like to save this for when we actually flip the Shade Brigandine, because we are going to increase this up to a level 4 to overlay with Shade Brigandine, which is also level 4. But since this effect will trigger when Shade Brigandine is activated, I usually just like to save it for then, so that way it doesn't like get negated or destroyed early or something. So now we can go ahead and activate that Fog Blade we discarded. We're going to use that to bring back the Rusty, or the Ragged Gloves that we sent. So now we've got our 2 level 3s on the board, and now we can go ahead and flip our Shade Brigandine in order to summon that right over here. And now we're going to go ahead and activate the Stained Greaves and summon that over here, and we are going to change the level to level 4. And you can already see where this is going. Now we have 2 level 3s and 2 level 4s. That's also an easy way to think of, like, can I make Rhongo? Just look at your hand, think a little bit down the combo line, and think, well, can I get 2 level 3s and 2 level 4s on board? Your level 4s are pretty much always going to be Stained Greaves and a Shade Brigandine. So, like, if you can get that set up, you already know you're good for level 4. So then it's just a matter of, can I get 2 level 3s out? If the answer is yes, you can make a Rhongo, like we're about to do right now. We're going to overlay our level 3s into Gossip Shadow. I typically like to overlay into the Gossip Shadow first. It doesn't really matter, but the monster effect negation could come up, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, it doesn't really matter the order you go into at this point, but we're going to go ahead and put the Rhongo here. I like to leave the Rusty Bardish zones open in case we want to, you know, on a later turn summon a Dark Exceeds monster and pop stuff, but usually if you're making Rhongo, the game's probably going to be over from this point anyway, as now we get to activate our Gossip Shadow's effect, attaching it and its materials to Rhongo, which is going to bring it up to 5 materials. And there we go. And then, like I said, this Cherubini was entirely optional. As you can see, we just kind of sat here for the rest of the combo. We didn't end up needing it, but, you know, better to have it and need it, or better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So, yep, that is the Rhongo setup with, again, that was with Torn Scales, a good card to discard, and a good extender, or an extender, which again, it sounds a little bit vague, but really as soon as you start playing the deck in almost any capacity, you can pretty easily pick up on what a good card to discard kind of constitutes. It's going to be like Fog Blade, Wings, a Danger Monster, a Ragged Gloves is fine, an Ancient Cloak is fine to discard. Usually one of those 5 is typically what you're looking for, but cool. Yep, let's go ahead and look at the next combo now. Okay, perfect. So now I get to show you how to make Rhongo Miad once again. Rhongo Bongo. I always say Rhongo Bongo because I know I'm never pronouncing this card's name right. It's Rhongo Miniat, whatever, Rhongo Miniat, Rhongo Bongo, we all know Rhongo Bongo. This is going to be another Rhongo Bongo setup, but this one is going to be with Tour Guide plus any extenders. So for our purposes, we'll use Tour Guide and then this Emergency Teleport. But again, this could be any extender, any level 3 monster that summons itself, like the Tsuchinoko would have worked as well, but or like a Psychic Wheeleder or Tracker, whatever, you get the idea. So we're going to lead by normal summoning our Tour Guide here, and of course activating the optional effect. We're going to go ahead and grab a Graff from our deck. And because the Graff effect is negated, that's why this works with Tour Guide. Because you might be thinking, well, wait, in that last combo you said that if you have a non-BA monster, that the Burning Abyss monsters will destroy themselves. That is normally the case, however, again, Tour Guide negates the effects of the monster that it summons, so then it is fine. Alright, so now we can go into Cherubini. At this point, like I said, pretty much every single one of these combos is going to start by going 2 level 3s into Cherubini. And now we get to activate Graff's effect, and you can already see how Tour Guide is a little bit more of an optimal setup because it not only uses more less resources overall, but it summons Graff straight from the deck. So we've already got Seer on board, so now we can actually just use Cherubini's effect to send whatever we want from deck to grave, which is going to be Ancient Cloak. Again, if you haven't already set it up in grave, then Ancient Cloak is pretty much always the best thing to set up in grave first. Alright, now we can go ahead and go into Rusty Bardish from here. And we will activate Cherubini's effect. Now, just like with the last combo, this step is actually optional. You do not have to activate this effect in order to get the Rhongo Monad on the board, but just like last time, it's still good to do it typically in case you get negated at some point and you just like go into a quick Apollusa. Cherubini will definitely make that very, very easy to do. So now we're going to activate Rusty Bardish's effect. This time we need to send a Torn Scales to the graveyard because we have not set one up in grave because obviously we didn't open one. So last time it kind of didn't matter, we just sent a Ragged Gloves. But this time it does matter. This time we do need to send Torn Scales specifically to the graveyard. And then of course we're going to set our Brigandine as well. And you can probably already see where this is going. We've got more or less the same setup as last time here. We're going to go ahead and activate our... let's see. I'm just trying to figure out, it doesn't really matter when you activate the extender, I guess, for this part of the combo. So we can just do it a little bit later. I was just trying to figure out when I wanted to work it in. So we'll use Ancient Cloak, and just like last time, we're going to search the Stained Greaves to our hand. So you're already starting to recognize, like, okay, we've got the 2 level 4s, right? We've got the Shady Brigandine set up in the Stained Greaves. Now that we've banished a monster, we've got our Torn Scales coming back. And you know we've got the teleport, so then, hey, there's our 2 level 3s right there. Once again, it's pretty easy to recognize once you get the hang of it. Like, just recognize, can I make 2 level 3s and 2 level 4s? If I can, then boom, easy, we can just go into a Rhongo. We could even activate Torn Scales effect here. I'm not going to because it's not necessary for the combo, but you can even activate Torn Scales effect and set up even more, like, plays here. It's definitely not hard to do, especially with a hand like this. And then, yeah, like I just finished saying, you know, it's just as simple as that. We make 2 level 3s, we make 2 level 4s, we can make a Rhongo Monad, so we're just going to go ahead and do so. Again, we're going to leave the Rusty Bardish zones open, or the zones that Rusty Bardish points to open, and just in case we need to summon Dark Exceeds monsters to those zones later to destroy stuff on our opponent's board. But again, you know, if you're making a 5 material Rhongo, the game's probably not going to last long enough for that to happen anyway. So, yep, as you can see, that's actually fairly similar to the last combo. It's just slightly different in the order you do things. And just making sure, if you're using Tour Guide, that with the Rusty Bardish, you do send specifically Torn Scales to the graveyard. That's going to be important to do there. But, yeah, there we go. We got the another setup for the 5 material Rhongo Monad. Now let's look at some other combos for some things, well, other than Rhongo. Okay, so for this combo, now I'm going to show you how we can end on an Apollusa plus a number F0 Utopic Draco Future. And for this combo, we are only going to use Tour Guide. Now, of course, we've got Tour Guide and plenty of extenders in hand, actually. So, you know, we could end on a Rhongo board. We could end on a DP. So, I mean, there's multiple things we could end on with this hand. But, again, for the purpose of this video, let's just pretend nothing else exists and that we are only going to use Tour Guide here. So, let us go ahead and do so. Yep, let's go ahead and summon the Tour Guide here and activate the optional effect. We're going to do so, summoning the Graff. Once again, we're summoning it from hand, but that's fine. Even if you do that in an actual game, that's still totally fine. Then, as always, we're going to start by linking into Cherubini. I've mentioned it every other combo before, but I just really want to drill into your head. Most plays in general, not even like these specific combo lines, but any play you're going to really make in general, you're going to start by linking 2 3s into Cherubini. So we're going to use Graff here to get the Seer. Now we can go ahead and activate the Cherubini effect. We're going to send the Ancient Cloak because, you know, like I said, if you haven't already sent it, it's usually a good first thing to send. Now we got these 2 in hand, so we can go ahead, or not in hand, on board. So we can go ahead and link them away into a good old Rusty Bardish here. And now we get to activate the Seer's effect. This one is a little less optional. If you want to make Apollusa here, yeah, you need to get back the Cherubini at this point. So Definitely needed for this combo. Okay, let's go ahead and activate our Rusty Bardish effect. Now, once again, since we use Tour Guide and not Torn Scales to set up, we're going to want to send a Torn Scales to the grave at this point. And then, yep, once again, we're going to set up the Shade Brigandine here. Alrighty, so now from this point, we're going to go ahead and activate our Ancient Cloaks effect. But this time, we're not going to be adding Stained Greaves. This time, we're going to be adding a Silent Boots. Again, I know we already have a Silent Boots in hand. Let's just pretend that doesn't exist and add the Silent Boots at this point. Now we can go ahead and bring back the Torn Scales effect, or the Torn Scales from the graveyard. And you do actually need one extra card in hand, but I mean, it's literally any additional card. It doesn't have to be specific, because for this combo, we are actually going to want to activate our Torn Scales effect. We do need to do this, unlike the Rhongo combo where we didn't need to activate it. We do want to do it at this point, so let's discard our extra Ancient Cloak. Like I said, it does not matter at all what we discard here. And now we're going to send our Ragged Gloves to the graveyard here. So now at this point, we can go ahead and special summon our Levier in defense mode, and now we can Exceed Summon into, did I say special summon our Levier in defense mode? I meant special summon our Silent Boots. We're going to make Levier, though. We're going to make Levier right over here, and activate its effect. It doesn't really matter, right? No, it doesn't matter, because we've already used Torn Scales, and this effect to banish, to add from hand, add a spell trap rather to hand, isn't really relevant to the combo, so we can banish either or. Let's go ahead and get Ancient Cloak back. You want to get Ancient Cloak back in attack mode. This is an optional step of the combo, but it's nice to get Ancient Cloak back in attack mode and just pump your Rusty Bardish up to 2900. That extra 800 specifically to boost from 21 to 2900 actually makes a world of difference as when in regards to what you can stop with the Bardish here and all that fun stuff. So, all right, now at this point, we're going to want to go ahead and activate our Ragged Gloves effect. And let's go ahead and send a Fog Blade from deck to the graveyard. And now we can use our Fog Blade's effect here in order to bring back one of our Phantom Knights from the graveyard. Let's go and get, that doesn't really matter. Let's just get this Silent Boots back, sure. And now, as you can see, we've got our Ragged Gloves banished, so we have something else to bring back with our other Levier at this point. So now we get to make our second Levier and activate its effect. Let's go ahead and detach the Silent Boots once again and get back the Ragged Gloves. Again, doesn't really matter what you detach. They're all going to end up in the graveyard either way. So, alright, now that we've got our two Xyz monsters out, we can then overlay our Leviers into good old Utopic Future. And then, of course, we know after Utopic Future is going to come Utopic Draco Future. We'll just put him right over here. Alright, and then now at this point we can go ahead and flip up our Shade Brigandine, go ahead and summon it right over there, and now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 link materials on board, which means we can go into our Apollusa. So yep, that's why I said, we do need to use the Cherubini. That step is not optional for this combo, where we're making Apollusa. So yeah, there you go. If you open just a Tour Guide, this is another alternative combo line, which is again why I like Tour Guide a lot in this deck right now, because Tour Guide by itself literally has multiple very powerful combo lines you can go into. Again, we saw the DPE Scythe lock set up at the start of the video, but now you can see how Tour Guide by itself can also set up the Bardish, Apollusa, and Utopic Draco Future. Alright, let's see. I'll try to show another setup for this combo where you just need Torn Scales and Extender. So let's go and watch that next. Okay, so yep, I'm going to show you how we get the same board as the last combo with Apollusa and good old F0, except this time, instead of using a Tour Guide, we're going to use Silent Boots plus any extender. We'll use Wheeleder that we opened here as our extender in this case. So let's go ahead and normal summon the Torn Scales, and then we can special summon the Wheeleder from our hand. And now, actually, like the last combo, this is technically an additional card, because you do need any one card to discard for Torn Scales as well, but again, it doesn't have to be specific. We can use any card. I'll just discard the Scythe, why not? I would have obviously did Tsuchinoko's better discard, but it would add more stuff to our board, and I just want to show you what you get with only these resources here. So, okay, yeah, we went ahead and activate the Torn Scales effect. As always, the first thing we're going to send is an Ancient Cloak, and we have 2 level 3 monsters, so what does that mean? We're going to start off by going into Cherubini here. And since we did not use Tour Guide for the setup here, we got to use Cherubini to send the Graff at this point. And go ahead and boost that up, and now we can use Graff to go into Seer. But I mean, you can already see from this point, the setup is more or less the same. We've got the Cloak engraved, we've got the Bardish setup, so, you know, at this point, we're pretty much like, it's more or less the same combo from here on out, so. We've got the Bardish here. We're going to go ahead and activate the Seer's effect to bring back the Cherubini. We'll throw the Cherubini right over here. Why not? And now we can activate our Bardish effect. Oh, sorry about that. I thought I saw something pop on my computer that made the recording stop. Actually, let me make sure it is still going. Okay, it is good. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and set up the Ragged Gloves here and send the Shade Brigandine. Alright, now we can go ahead and start using our graveyard effects. We'll go ahead and use the Ancient Cloak. And we'll search ourselves a Silent Boots. And then we get to activate Torn Scales because something got banished. Go ahead and special that. Summon the Boots we just searched right over here. Boom, we overlay into Levier. Alright, activate Levier, detach the Boots. Again, doesn't really matter what you detach here. Get back the Cloak. Again, this part's optional, but no reason not to bring back Cloak in attack mode. And then activate its effect to boost up our Bardish to a respectable 2900. Yep, now we can go ahead and activate the Ragged Gloves effect. Ragged Gloves, of course, being used to set up the Fog Blade. We could also use Wings as well. Why not? I actually usually like to use Wings because Fog Blade is kind of like... It's definitely the better trap card between the two. So, I know I said Fog Blade in the last combo, but like I said, I usually actually like to use Wings as the setup there. So, yep. Now we can go ahead and summon our second Levier here. And activate that effect. Again, doesn't matter what we detach. I'll just do Boots. Get back the Ragged Gloves. And, I mean, yeah, like I said, this is literally the exact same setup as last time. Right now we can overlay our Leviers into the F-Zero right over here. And, of course, we next stack the Draco Future on top of that. Now it's easy as just flipping up our Shade Brigandine, throwing that right over there, and making the Apollusa. Oops, there we go. Yeah, so like I said, it's pretty easy. Just the same setup as last time. You just could do it in a slightly different order based on whether you open the Silent Boots or in the Extender or the Tour Guide. But same result either way. Same result at the end of the combo there. Alright, so... I think I'm going to try to show some Dark Requiem combos as well. They're going to be fairly similar, but yeah, why not? I'll try to show them off anyway. It's going to depend on how long it takes. I am running a little bit low on time, but I will try to include those combos there. I'll include at least one more combo, if not those. Well, you'll see here in a second. Alright, so the next line of play that I'm going to show you right here is going to be the Dark Requiem Exceeds Dragon line. We're going to do this with Tour Guide. Now, unlike last time, I won't show both variations with Tour Guide and Torn Scales, but I'll just point out the differences. This is honestly going to be very similar to the last combos with F-Zero that we saw. It's just going to be a little bit different. I'll point out those differences as we go along, but we'll just do it with Tour Guide here. So we're going to start with normal summoning our Tour Guide and activating the effect to summon a Graff. And now if you opened the Torn Scales plus the Extender instead, you would hear normal summon Torn Scales, activate the effect, discard a card, send an Ancient Cloak, and then special summon the Extender. So now we're going to take our Tour Guide and Graff and go into Cherubini. And we'll use Graff's effect in order to get our Seer. And now we'll activate Cherubini's effect to send an Ancient Cloak from our deck to the graveyard. And so if you had, if you had instead opened the Torn Scales plus Extender, you would link the two of them into the Cherubini, send the Graff, and summon the Seer. And I'm pretty sure I'm very sure actually that we're now at the exact same point with either combo. Now, whether you open Torn Scales and Extender or Tour Guide, now we're at the same conclusion. I could have done this for the last combo too, but I kind of wanted to show it. I would have liked to have shown the other combo line ideally too, but like I said, I'm just running a little bit low on time to record this right now, so for the sake of saving time, we'll just show it off this way. But yep, cool. Now that we have our Seer plus Cherubini, let's go ahead and link into Z-Bardish. And of course, we're going to activate Seer's effect. This is an Apollusa plus a Dark Requiem, by the way, in case I wasn't specific enough about that. I think I was, but we'll go ahead and just summon the Cherubini right there. Okay, now we can go ahead and activate our good old Bardish effect here. Now I'm pretty sure we send, because we, specifically because we use Tour Guide, we do have to send Torn Scales here. That is actually another difference. Obviously, if you had used Torn Scales, you don't have to send one here, so you could just send like a Ragged Gloves instead. Yeah, no, here we're definitely going to want to send the Torn Scales. And then, this is actually normally where you would set the Shade Brigandine from your deck. I've already got it in hand, so sure, I'll just set a Fog Blade. And then I'll just set the Shade Brigandine from my hand. But yeah, normally you would obviously, from your deck, want to set the Shade Brigandine. So, there's that setup there. So now we can go ahead and activate our Ancient Cloak effect from our graveyard. Now, just like with the F-Zero combo, we're actually going to use this to search good old Silent Boots. And now we get to activate our Torn Scales effect. I'm going to summon that right over here. We're not going to summon the... obviously, I have the Stained Greaves, and that would be a good extender in a regular hand, but for the purposes of showing off the combo, we're going to pretend the Stained Greaves is not there. So, alright, now at this point, we do need to activate the Torn Scale effect. So let's go ahead and, sure, I'll just discard the Celestial, why not? And then we're going to send the Ragged Gloves to the graveyard. Alright, now from this point we get to special summon our Silent Boots. And then we're going to overlay into Levier. So yeah, up to this point, still pretty much the same as what we were doing for the F-Zero combo, right? We're going to activate Levier and bring back... Oh, sorry. I got scared for a second. I thought I screwed up, but no, we're gonna bring back the Ancient Cloak. Yeah, because I didn't see Ancient Cloak, and I was like, wait, we have to bring that back, right? Yeah, we're gonna put that right here, and as always, we'll get the optional step to activate and boost up our Rusty Bardish here, because we can. Why not? So this is where the differences start to kind of pivot here at this point, right? We're gonna actually activate our Shade Brigandine right now. We'll put it right over here. Why not? And we're actually gonna link into Apollusa at this point. And we're going to use Cherubini as two materials. We're going to use Levier, and we're going to use Shade Brigandine. And we'll go ahead and summon our Apollusa. Why not? Right over there. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and activate our Ragged Gloves effect from the graveyard. And we're going to send Wings, or a Fog Blade, whichever. I mean, we already set a Fog Blade and have one in hand, so we have to use Wings at this point. But, yeah, we're going to go ahead and activate the Wings here. Or the Fog Blade if you would have that. So, let's see here. We're going to bring back... Let's bring back the Torn Scale. It doesn't really matter. It's going to matter in a second here what Phantom Knights monsters we use, but not for this step. So now we're going to go into Breaksword. Now, this is important. You specifically want to summon Breaksword to the zone that Bardish points to. Specifically that zone. And the reason is because Bardish has an optional effect where if you summon a Dark Xyz monster to the zone it points to, you get to destroy one card in the field. And we actually need to destroy our own Breaksword in order to be able to summon Dark Rebellion. So, very, very important that you do that. We're going to use Bardish to blow up our own Breaksword. That's going to trigger our Breaksword's effect, which lets us bring back any 2 Phantom Knights as level 4 monsters. Very important, do not bring back Silent Boots. We actually need to use Silent Boots as a graveyard effect, so do not bring back Silent Boots. we're going to bring back the Torn Scale and the Ancient Cloak as level 4 monsters. Now we get to summon our Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. Let's go ahead and summon Dark Rebellion in defense mode. This is useful for playing around a Lightning Storm. And now we get to banish the Silent Boots from our graveyard. Like I mentioned earlier, we do need to keep Silent Boots engraved so that we can search our Phantom Knight's rank up magic spell. And now we can set that, and now during our opponent's turn, we can flip up the rank up magic spell and then summon Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon directly from our extra deck during our opponent's turn. This card has quite a few useful effects, including once per turn. Well, actually, that's not a quick effect. This is the main quick effect that we want. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effects, you can detach one material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do destroy that card, then you can special summon an Xyz monster from your graveyard. So not only do we get a negate and destroy, that's not once per turn, it's not even once per chain, mind you. You can do this effect multiple times per chain. And then we also get to start bringing back like our Break Sword and our Leviair. Like, the card is nuts. Now, there is one thing to keep in mind about Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon, which is that in order to use these effects, you do have to keep the Dark Rebellion as a material there. So just make sure that is the last material that you detach. But yeah, very, very cool. You get multiple monster effect negations and destroys, mind you. Excuse me. And on top of that, if the Dark Requiem lives through to your next turn, then you can potentially use this other effect to detach material and just straight up steal one of your opponent's monsters' attack points. Like, their attack drops to 0 and Dark Requiem gains that much attack. So very easy to just end the game with Dark Requiem as well. Like, there are some times in this build where you go into Dark Requiem not even for the monster effect negation on turn 1, but you'll go into it like turn 2 or later just to straight up OTK your opponent. Yeah, Dark Requiem, a very powerful card. I actually like this card quite a bit, but yep, I think that's about all the combos I've got for you with this deck, so let us move to the outro. Okay, everybody, I hope you found those combos helpful. Yeah, like I said, I wanted to show off a variety of combos for a variety of builds, which normally I don't do that with the combo guides, right? Like, normally we stick to just the deck that I used for whatever my latest deck profile was, that build, and I show you all the combos we can do with that. But again, Phantom Knights are so diverse in the way that you can build out, particularly the extra deck, and the different number of different things you can go into, that I wanted to show off like all the different lines, like all the different good turn 1 in boards, right? Like, and yeah, we were able to do that. I showed off the Scythe lock, I showed off going into Rhongo, I showed off going into F-Zero and Apollusa, and then of course we also saw going into Apollusa plus Dark Requiem as well. So always nice to be able to get off to be able to show off rather a variety of plays. It's obviously nice when you're playing the deck you can get off a variety of plays, of course, as well. But yeah, I hope you guys found this video helpful for whatever variant of Phantom Knights you happen to be playing. This deck is really cool. I really, really like it, and I would definitely love to get back to it more in the future, so be sure to let me know in the comments below if you definitely want to see more Phantom Knights. I'm always down to play them. But yeah, I think we're just going to go ahead and end off the video here. Guys, thank you so very much for watching, especially all the way to the very end like this. I greatly appreciate that. I'm also appreciative if you're commenting and subscribing in the, well, you know, smashing that bell and all that fun stuff. I don't even know what I was going to say there, so I just default YouTuber brain. First thought, have them smash bell. Got it. But no, you know, don't feel like you have to do that. Like, if you're just watching, that is far more than enough for me. The viewership already means the world to me, so but that said, if you want to watch my videos, subscribing is the best way to, yeah, obviously get notifications for those. And you guys leave such great comments. I've said it a million times. I'll keep saying it a million more times. I have the best comment section. Like, I really do have one of the best comment sections on YouTube. Like, no doubt, of any comment section I've ever seen. You guys are so supportive and so great and offer such good feedback. I love to hear from you guys. So do let me know in the comments what you think, not only of Phantom Knights, but of videos in general, just whatever you want to see. But, yep, that's going to do it. Without further ado, this is XLex, signing off. Hope you guys have a fantastic day.